Okay. All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Pura Vida podcast. Thank you for tuning in and thank you for listening. We are on YouTube and Spotify. If you want to subscribe to the podcast, we would love to have you listen to more episodes. Um, I'm here at the studio right now, the Pura Vida Wellness Studio. And here we have so many classes. We have multiple wellness classes, yoga, stretching, qigong, meditation, etc., yoga and sound bowls like I have here. And so we have multiple class options, and our membership is just $30 per month, and it gives you access to all the classes here. So I would love to have you join us if you're in the area, and if you're not, we're looking into online options as well. So stay tuned for that. Yes, Angie's excited for the online. So let's actually go ahead
Nice.
and introduce our guest today. Hello, Angie.
Hi there, Erica.
Welcome to the Pura Vida podcast. And Angie's actually one
Thank
of our
you.
instructors here at Pura Vida. I've had nothing but good feedback from people who come to Angie's classes, and I'm so
Oh, that's
happy
nice.
that she's willing to come on the podcast and share a little bit about her journey. So, Angie, welcome again. And I'd
Thanks.
love for you to just introduce yourself and maybe just talk a little bit about how you got into the fitness journey, into your wellness journey, and your healing journey.
Okay. Well, I have a birthday coming up. I am 55.
Happy
Almost. Oh,
birthday!
thank you. I'll be 56 shortly, but
You
the
do
fitness,
not look it, girl.
thanks, lady. Um, my fitness journey actually started in high school. I was overweight, and my junior year of high school, and I was in band,
That's
and
something that we share, you guys. Angie
exit
and I,
music.
yes, we share the love of music, and we were both in bands, so we geek out sometimes about that, don't we?
We do. And we were getting new uniforms, and it started, I weighed less in the fall when we were marching because we were moving. But then, when I stopped, I did an exercise, and then we were getting new uniforms, had to try, they took measurements and weighed us, and I had gained like 20 pounds in 4 months. And I was like, wow. So I took it upon myself. I just said, I didn't want that to happen. And I just started, we lived, and my parents still live out there, but I live way out in the country. So I call it jogging, walking, walk, jog.
Walking.
Yeah, walking when you first start, but then
Yep,
would jog
I
more.
can relate to that.
And I cleaned up my diet, of course. This was in the
Mhm.
early 80s. So, um,
Lots of
back
processed
oh,
food.
back then it was high carbs, low fat or no fat. And so you get to eat all the carbs you want, but like no fat. But I didn't, I never, um, I wasn't, had no problems like anorexia or any of those issues. I just, tried to take care of myself more. And so I went to college, I went to BGSU, and I started out in the wrong business area, which was business. And
Mm.
then I found, I don't know how, I don't even know how I found it. I did take aerobic classes there. And
Oh,
so high
is that
impact, I was taking them, and I wanted to try out to be an aerobic instructor. That's what they called them back then, called us aerobic instructors.
yeah, so like
And
you knew right away when you took that class, you were like you had that connection.
oh yeah, I
That's
went to I
awesome.
always went to the student rec center all the time. And but then I found, and back then they didn't really have so much as far as fitness and wellness goes. I took recreation. I became my major was recreation programming
Mm.
because I wanted to work in the A student rec center, I thought. And you had to have a master's. So I kept going at VG and I got my recreation management degree. And it, while I was doing that, to just make a little extra money on the side, I was I was personal training and learning how to personal train from a friend who'd been doing it for a while. And I loved it. I mean, I
That's
absolutely
awesome.
loved it. So after that, I kind of, oh, actually, I forgot to say, I did go to University of Toledo for 5 years and I got PhD education. I didn't finish the degree, but it was in higher education
Wow.
administration. And I was like, I can't sit at a desk all day. I just
Mm-hmm.
wasn't for me.
Yep.
But
Oh, hi,
yeah,
Kitty.
yeah, this is Tucker.
Hi, Tucker.
Yes, he's very, yeah, he loves people.
Wow, so you went to the University of Toledo and for your PhD and you said you
Yes,
didn't finish, but you just knew right away that desk job was not for you.
correct. Yes, correct. And so then that's also I was doing personal training on the side, learning, but also weightlifting. I started weightlifting when I was about 23, just maybe on machines. I'm not sure, how what I did, other things back then, and things were very different in the 80s. But of course, when you're
Yeah,
young,
I
you
actually
can,
want to touch on that topic.
yeah, absolutely.
What do you think is different now as opposed to back in the 80s in the gyms, in the fitness industry, in general, personal training as well?
I think it depends what people know, or and also kind of there's so much information on social media that isn't right, and some's not wrong, some is not wrong. When you're in your 20s, or not your or late teens and early 20s, you have so much, more energy, and they
Yeah.
want to do a lot of cardio, or those combination classes, boot camps, that type of thing. And they can do that. And I did that. I taught those. I could still teach them if people want them, but as you get older, you really don't need to do that to your body. In my late 20s, when I was 20, I was 28, I actually did competitions at the National Aerobic Association. So it was called sport aerobics back then.
Mm,
And I did that for 3 years. I won a gold medal and I got a bronze medal. Um,
wow.
oh, thanks. Um, and I loved it. I mean, but so I was like, and that was, like I said, in my late 20s. I was 20s and going into my 30 year. Um, I was just pounding away on my body. I would
Mm-hmm.
teach these classes and do them with them, and then I'd practice. And I mean, I sometimes I'd come home not feeling well at
Yeah.
all. And so that I learned from that. As I got in my 30s, I still felt good and everything. But then also then in my when I was 35, that's when this is a 20-year anniversary of the seizure disorder.
Yeah.
But through the fitness industry, as of now, they don't think you need as much cardio as you do weightlifting. And a lot of people don't know that, or they may know that. It's very different. A lot of women don't know how to do it.
Mm,
And, if people,
yeah, that's a
people,
huge point right there. A lot of
yes,
women don't.
yes, correct.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how I think it's changed. It changes as we get older. We don't need as much like we thought we did in the 80s to where we are now. Some people may still do that, but a lot of stuff that I watch. or C isn't as long. So I think that's how it's changed a lot.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I love that we kind of brushed on that because it's powerful to just kind of witness like the evolution of this industry and how it's evolved. It's amazing. You brushed on your seizure disorder. I would love
Uh-huh.
to touch on that. And
Sure.
so you first learned about this when you were
I was 30,
35.
I was 35. And like I
Wow.
said, about 2 weeks from being 36. So like 30, like 36-ish, or early 36, I'll say. And I was actually at my sister's wedding. It didn't happen at the wedding, but it happened that night.
Mm,
And I actually, I had a grand mal, and I don't know why. I have never fallen, never, you know, n- no car crash, nothing like that. The only thing I think I relate it to is maybe overtraining and beating down my adrenal system.
mm,
I don't know for
yeah.
sure, but
Y-
that's what I think.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm sure you've done so much research on this disorder. And I'm sure, I mean, you've experienced it obviously yourself.
I've
And
probably, oh, go ahead. I'm
no,
sorry.
yeah, you go.
I've probably had, and I mean, I'm talking like 1 second, half a second, they would consider that a seizure. I've probably had over 10,000
Wow.
over this 20 years,
Wow.
and some you can't even tell. Some are like, you did? I'm like, yeah, I just kind of, or it's like an aura.
Yeah.
Everything is different for everybody, and or who has a seizure disorder, or what am I? I'm losing, not just a seizure disorder, but as it started as a child. Um, so they have a lot of grand malls. Some people have grand malls, like they last 20 minutes, and they can be just dangerous to your body. The family knows what to do. I've had a few, but quite a long time ago. Um, so, but my brain responds well, decent to the cocktail I'm on right now.
Yeah.
But the doctors even told me, they said, 33% of the people don't always respond
Yeah.
to the seizure meds.
Yeah. Yeah, so you have to take medicine every day now, and I'm
Yes.
curious, like how else has this impacted your everyday life?
In
This
the
is
more, oh, that's okay. Well, also, yeah, I can't drive.
mm-hmm.
I haven't driven in 14 years. Um, and part of the journey, and I have gotten older, and last year, but we'll talk about last year in a minute, but just part of my journey is like, it's so hard to ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
And some people want to give it. If they can, they can. If they can't, they can't. Of course, when this first started for me 20 years ago, there wasn't Uber, there wasn't Lyft,
Yeah.
which does make it a lot more helpful if you need it. But um yeah, it's there seems like they're different every time. Sometimes even just these last couple of days, I have had some. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
My husband's like, you know, don't try to figure it out. Just
Yeah,
just be your, it's we doesn't matter. And he's the best.
that's awesome.
He he loves me no matter what. He takes care of me. He does the grocery shopping. I mean, I would if I could, get there,
Right.
and that kind of thing. So he's just been completely supportive. Our first date, I told him, I said, I have a seizure disorder, but I was driving at that point. There was a point where I could drive
Mm-hmm.
for a little while, for about 5 years. So, and I had been when we first met, was driving for 4 months when we met, and then it was like,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Wow.
Ugh,
Yeah. Well, first of all, I must say again, I'm so sorry that you have to deal with this. And I, it's that seems
thank you.
extremely, extremely hard. It really does. And I, I want to touch on, so Angie teaches here at the studio, and she sometimes has to ride her bike to work because like she mentioned she
My big
can't.
tricycle.
Yeah, her big tricycle. Yeah. And as she
Yeah,
mentioned, she can't drive. And I just remember one day, Angie, you came in the studio and were, you had mentioned that you had fell off your bike and it was because of a seizure that
that
you
was
had.
I'm pretty sure that was before I got the tricycle. I
Yeah.
had a regular bike, and I took the back away, and it helped a lot. However, I always stand back, when I'm standing at the light, feet down, wide, hands were on the, always on the bars. And the only thing I know is that a gentleman came up to me and said, "Ma'am," he goes, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm fine."
Mm,
He goes, "Are you sure you're okay?" I said, "No, I'm fine. Thank you." And when I got to the studio, my pants didn't rip. Of course, I'd use the bathroom,
yeah.
and there was a big like cherry on my knee. So
Oh,
I think I went down. So
yep.
because sometimes there I do get I it blocks,
Yeah.
not as often, but sometimes it does. And then I was like, oh, I bet that's why he asked me that. And I told Scott, my husband, and he said, let's, maybe look at a tricycle. He goes, I
Hmm.
think you'd feel better. And there's a basket, you can put all your stuff in it. And that definitely helped for
Yeah.
sure.
Right. Yeah,
So
definitely. Yeah, so as you can see, everybody, this disorder, I mean, I'm so happy that we have Angie here
yeah.
because without her, honestly, like I've never run into somebody with seizure disorder, and she had come into the studio for a sound bath one day, and that's how we clicked because she came up to me afterwards and she told me that she was in band and I told her I was in band, and of course, like we just band geeked out from there. But but then she had mentioned that she has a seizure disorder, and and this was, later on in the conversation. It might have even been the second time I met you when we discussed you possibly teaching at the studio, and I automatically, I'm like, oh wow, like I automatically you get that initial like shock a little bit of when someone tells you that. And then just to see you on your journey and how this impacts your everyday life is so inspiring to me, Angie, because you
Oh, thanks.
really like you just go through your life regardless of this and you are impacting people's lives with your fitness journey, with your personal training. She has a personal training client that comes here and I know they have a really good relationship. And you also do personal training on Zoom as well, don't you, Angie?
I do. Well, actually, I don't do it on Zoom.
Oh,
I,
okay.
I actually, I could. I don't. What I Everybody that I have trained, I was like, this happened during the pandemic because like everything was shut down. Of course, you probably know. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna contact all my people, my old people that I used to train in Facebook. And
Mm,
there's that little message, and you can hit video. It's kind of the same thing we're doing right now.
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
that's cool.
so it works on Facebook,
Well, that's
and
great.
it is. And I mean, the nice thing about that too is that you can train people. I have people in North Carolina.
Mm,
I have people 100 miles away. I have people in Michigan. So
yeah. And those of you who are listening to this, and because of course this podcast can go outside of this little Toledo, Ohio area, So anybody who's listening to this outside of this area, know that Angie is a resource for you if you're looking for any type of personal training or fitness instruction. So yeah, we would love to shout her out for that.
Oh,
I do
thanks.
want to just um, circle back really quick to how are there any misconceptions about seizure disorders that maybe you'd like to cover?
I guess yes, and as you get older, or it depends how bad they are, but people just think, you are different. I mean, if they know, they think, if you can't drive, they think you're different, because it's a disorder.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't get over that for years. I
Yeah.
couldn't get over that for years. And it's like, I just, I knew in myself from how my parents have raised me that I'm like, I'm not going to let this stop me because yeah, I'm going to get something figured out. And I did go to the Cleveland Clinic and I was there for 5 days. They brought my meds down, to have seizures and um did the EEG, and they just, I was probably one of the healthier ones on the floor. And but that was quite a while ago. So that was in 2016. So a lot of things could have changed from then, even just like from research. And but they wouldn't let you walk alone anywhere. They'd let you walk.
Wow.
I know. They're like, well, we can't. What if let you fall? And I'm like, whatever. You know. And I did become close friends with the head nurse, but they'll walk you to your bathroom in your room and they'll wait for you. But what I would do, when I was like, I gotta move, I gotta do something. I can't just I lay in bed and stretch my legs back and do all this stuff. But I would do like 40 to 50 splits in the bathroom. But I didn't realize that it was affecting the EEG, and my brain was like, they're like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, fine." And so I got a
Meanwhile,
smack
the
on.
doctors are like, "Are you sure
I
you're
I'm
okay?"
like, "I'm fine." So I got smacked on the hand for that. They're like, "Don't ever. You should know. You can't do that." And I said, "If I'm paying for most of this, I am going to do that."
Yeah, yes. You go, girl. Get your empowerment on. I
Oh,
love it. I love it.
yeah, but I just and I told her, I said, I kind of was like, I'm going to do push-ups. She goes, well, not if I'm here. She goes, well, what if you break your teeth? I said, I'll put pillow under my face. She goes, what if you suffocate? I said, my problem. Then it's not my problem anymore. We just got along really well. But
Yeah, I
anyway,
love that.
they did find a spot in the like right back portion of my brain, and they like all the doctors collaborate about can they do um surgery or something. But it was too deep to do that. What the next step, they gave me two steps. What they would have to do was either, and again, like I said, this 2016, things could have changed from then, but they'd have to pull a piece of my brain, not my brain, my a skull out and put the electrodes on my brain.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, and there's a 75% chance they could find it, which is good. But then then I said, then they could do the surgery, but like a 30 to 40 chance that they would stop. And I thought, you know, that just to me didn't seem like enough,
Yeah.
because you'd have to recover from that brain, or that skull, put back in, and the surgery. And I just thought, just the word, like I said, the worst thing is not being able to drive, but things have changed since then, like with Uber and Lyft, and my friends help me. The studio is very close to my home. I have walked, and so, it's
Yeah.
only a mile away from here. So that
Yeah.
isn't, yeah, it's not far.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so it sounds like a lot of the misconceptions are, one person might, they're just people with seizure disorders are just people, right? Like they're just people,
Yes,
they're normal people,
yes.
and they have to go about their life just as you do. And this disorder did not stop Angie because look how awesome she's doing.
Oh, thank
I
you.
know you have so much challenges in your life, but you really are doing amazing.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. And I love it there. And that's your studio, or I should say our studio, has
Yeah.
changed my life because in 2024, I was kind I'm still or going through perimenopause, and you know, my diet was not bad but not great. And I went, and I all you wear tights. We wear tights all the time. That's my,
Hmm.
and I went to put on a pair of jeans one time, like my favorite pair, and I'm like, I can't get in these. I mean, I knew I had put on some weight a little bit, but I put on a lot of weight. So I said, same thing I said in my junior year in high school. I said, menopause is not going to get the best of me. I said, I am going I said, I changed my diet, healthy way. And um, I cut actually, because I was doing 30-minute workouts. So I'm
Hmm.
not at cardio, but weight wise. And I cut everything to 15 minutes, which I had done before and it helped. And that's just what I'm doing.
Yeah, I
And
love it.
it makes a difference. And it's like if I don't feel, I keep the eye on my heart rate. My
Hmm.
heart rate gets super, super high and doesn't come down quickly. I'm like, it's time to stop.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
still hard, but I'm more of a weightlifter kind of person. And like that's where I do most of my training, because
Yeah.
I'm constantly moving anyway. So
Right. Yeah. You mentioned your diet. Has like, do you know of any research that says what you should eat to maybe lower your chances of having a seizure or
they
relax?
talk about the ketosis diet.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that one seems to be more prominent with children and working kids.
Okay.
And I think I might have tried it, and I was like, just, ugh, it just wasn't good.
I hear you.
So I don't know, it just wasn't good for me. And
No.
my seizures, like I said, weren't the worst and aren't the worst. And I thank God every day for that.
Yeah.
And so I just eat, every few hours. And if I do, sometimes I can feel like if I'm craving more carbs than something else, I'm like, eat it. Find, your carb that works for you and eat something.
Yeah.
And especially women my age, like in their 50s, maybe they're, for past in their 40s, doesn't matter. We all don't need to work out as much
Hmm.
because, and not just with the seizure disorder, but in general, because our body, we're just getting older, but you want to keep moving. So
Yeah, absolutely. That kind of is a good transition into another thing that I want to talk about, which is trauma-informed yoga. And this is kind of one of the principles of trauma-informed yoga. We don't need to work out as much as we don't have to keep pushing our bodies into well, in yoga's case, into certain yoga poses that our body can't necessarily do. We don't have to like up a weight even higher just because, our egos are saying, hey, we got to up a weight. Trauma informed yoga is really all about how you feel in your body. And the goal is to feel safe in your body because with trauma informed yoga, as you know, with seizure disorder, your nervous system just gets your nervous system is very triggered, overloaded, and
Yes.
it's very important to listen to your body when it needs rest. And rest is I would say rest is actually probably the most important thing when
Yeah.
it comes to overworking your body, and or
Yes.
when it comes to
And this.
fitness in general. Yep, and your
Yes. And
mind.
fitness, your body. Yes. And your mind.
Yeah.
And when I came to your studio and after I met you and I started teaching there, and I've always, for some reason, I've always been a good, like I've always been flexible. Probably, well, I took dance when I was, little, but then also, those crazy workouts I was or competitions I was doing, you had to be flexible, you know.
Yeah.
But I've always been flexible and stretching your muscles. And I have one of like an active stretcher, but I like a lot of movement in there too when I'm doing it on Mondays at 11. Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, it's
Yep.
11, excuse me. I was gonna say 11:30, 11 a.m. But I have them move a lot more. And I'm like, if you're tired, I'm like, numbers don't matter. You rest if you want to rest and just take a break when you want to take a break. And
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like your own health journey like has really influenced how you help your students, which is
Mhm.
awesome. Like having your own experience and sharing that is really
Yeah,
what I think helps the most when it comes to teaching others.
it took me though until I met you, like 19 years. I mean, where I was like ashamed of this disorder.
Yeah.
And that's terrible.
Yeah,
I mean, and
it
I'm not,
is.
you shouldn't be. It's not your fault, and you don't, because I don't know when they're going to happen. Because I was used to having control of my body,
Hmm.
but sometimes it just won't happen. And, I looked at a Facebook page for these, but everybody was so different. And so it was all so new to them. And it was like very toxic for me. So I just got off. And I don't mean that in a bad way to them. It was just like, I've done all this. I can't see it again. I need to move on.
Yeah.
And what has really
You
helped over
listen to
the,
your body.
yes. And I make sure I get a lot of sleep, usually at least 7 to 10 a night.
That's awesome.
And if I I take a nap during the day.
Yeah. Heck yeah, get your rest on. I love it. Oh, I love it. Um, so we have talked to you guys a little. Uh-oh, hold on. We're having a ambulance come by.
Oh,
One, can you hear it?
I heard something, but now I don't anymore.
Okay, 1 second.
Th-
I think it's about to be gone. I can cut this part out.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I think we're good. Um, so Angie and I, I've talked to you guys already about how we've geeked out about band. So I want to introduce a beautiful fact that Angie just got done taking a sound healing course. And
Yes,
so that's another thing we're going to have to start geeking out on together.
I
And
know.
I'm so excited about that. But I wanted to know what inspired your journey into sound healing.
Um, After I took just your class and I loved it, but then I thought, I think I read a little bit about, and I think actually maybe I heard it from you first, just in a quick conversation, but then I read a little more about it. Um, how, you know, the 528 HGZ or
Yeah, hurts.
hertz, yeah, can change your DNA, your cells. And I got some earbuds that fit into my ear at night, and I listened just it's just like a it's like almost like a new age, of sound, and it's just light, and I just it's almost like I gotta have it.
Yeah.
It does
Yeah,
come out after about 2:30 or 3. It depends, I usually have to pee at night.
right.
But but then I'm like, okay, just take it out. And so, but that changed everything. And I was like, I'm just gonna I saw and heard from somebody who they went to. I'm not sure they were at the studio because I know that there's somebody over at the Mommy Senior Center that does it with them.
Yeah.
And she's got beautiful stuff, all the good stuff. Like all the I just have bowls. I don't have the chimes and the making like a sound wave or anything like that. So that's what I
Yeah.
need to practice as well.
Well,
But
you will get
I
there. And there's
when I do the bowls, I mean, it feels comfortable. And I
Yeah, I wanted to like ask you, so was you coming into the studio, was that your first experience with the sound bath with multiple
Yes,
instruments? And so
yes.
can you speak on that? I would love to like
Do
how are you feeling? How was your experience? What were you expecting from the sound bath? And what did you like take out of it?
I didn't know what to expect. Um, but I did totally relax. I don't think I fell asleep. Maybe just went into I don't know kind of what state it was. Maybe I'm not sure if it's meditative because of people that were snoring and, you know, snoring and
Yes,
all
people
that.
often
They
relax
do.
too deeply.
They just fall asleep and snore. And I mean, but I was taking that into consideration. And then um I loved it. I just absolutely loved it.
Yeah, that's so awesome.
And that's
Y-
how I got into it. And oh, go
Yeah.
ahead.
No, we have a similar journey. I just went to my very first sound bath at a yoga studio and instantly seriously instantly my that was the safest my body has ever felt. Or not maybe not ever, but
Mm.
it's the safest it has felt in a very long time. And I knew right away that I wanted to pursue this. I knew right away. And gosh, that's been like almost 8 years ago now, 9 years ago. But I'm just so happy that I listened to that intuition and I kept going. And now we
Good
get
for
to spread it
you.
together, which
I
is so
know.
cool.
I do love it. And what I love, you know, kind of just, the- I wish I had and people that are listening may not know, it starts, the chakra root, but it's a low C. I do wish
Hmm.
I had a high C after that, but I don't have one. I just
Yeah.
have, I have I think the 7 moles, and it stops at B, and I wish I
Yep.
had a high C,
Yeah.
but
You'll get one. They're so
uh,
expensive. The bowls are expensive.
they are expensive.
They are.
Mine weren't that, but I'm like, I got to start somewhere because I just
Yeah.
want to
It's
practice, practice at home and everything. And yeah, no, I love
yeah.
it. That even calms me. I'll just get a rounding sound of like either like rain or waves hitting the beach
Yeah.
to just kind of, I don't know, maybe help people or
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
absolutely.
So
I mean, ultimately, the bowls are the solfeggio frequencies, and really, if
yes,
you sum it up, those are just blended tones of nature. When you really get down to the root of it, and And these are like nature really is what heals us, right? The sounds of nature, birds chirping, like you were saying, waves hitting the
Hmm.
beach,
Yeah.
water trickling, the leaves rustling. And so our most bowls are set in the solfeggio frequency for those of you who are interested in sound healing. And that is actually what the healing component is of sound baths.
And well, I actually bought the 432s.
Hertz. Yeah.
Yeah, Hertz, which is a little bit lower, I think, than the three something, three, whatever, 332. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. I can't remember off the top of my head. But I like the lower tone.
I do too.
I like the lower tone.
Yeah, I do too a lot. I actually just as if I need another bowl, but I had to buy one more bowl because I heard it and I was like, "Oh my gosh." It was so low. The tone was so low and I'm like you, I really find healing and relaxation in those low tones. They
Me
just,
too.
yeah, they feel so
Yeah.
good. So, Angie, I would like to ask you to share where people can find you, and like where people can work with you.
Well, they can work with me at Pure Vita Wellness Studio, this our studio that we have. Um, I also train train people virtually if that's something you're interested in, and you can just send me a DM through my and I have an Angie Morton Fitness LLC page, but I haven't used it a whole lot. For some reason, I don't get like I get weird. People are trying to just some bad people are trying to get
Oh yeah, I hear
in there.
you. Yep.
Yeah. So it's but you can get me through Pure Vita Wellness Studio
Yeah,
if you're
and we can
interested.
always
And if
direct
you
them to you too.
And if you're interested in virtual, the nice thing about virtual, and what people don't realize, and I know some people like to be in a gym, and that I get it. That's great. Having people around us is wonderful. But also the nice thing about virtual is you could just roll out of bed, you could be at home, you could be done, shower, whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
there's different things to it. Just
There
depends
is.
what people want.
Yeah, there's a lot of benefits to virtual
Yeah.
online trainings, and there really is. And I won't go on with that, but thank you for letting people know where they can work with you. What could you mention your classes at Pura Vida, what time you teach, and what they are, what classes they are?
I have two classes at Pure Vita Wellness Studio. Um, 9:30 a.m. It is beginning stretch and like meditative rest. And so it's kind of learning how to stretch. And I'm trying to make it a little harder, a little as people, because it's the same people. And then I have one at 11 o'clock, which is active stretch and movement. And it may say core on there as well, but they're always going to get core
Yeah.
in this. So
Yep.
so those I right now it's Monday at 9:30 and harder one is at 11 o'clock a.m. And
Yeah.
then I just do one personal training with a person on Thursdays at 11 at the studio.
Yeah. Well, awesome. So again, you can come here and take Angie's class, or you can find her virtually, or you can work with her virtually. And Angie, do you have any last thoughts or advice for anybody out there?
Loving yourself, which I mean, has taken me a long time, and toxic, letting go of the toxic
Mm-hmm.
is just one of the best things you can do. It is challenging. That's why I took 2024 to just kind of work on myself. but it's one of the best things you can ever do for yourself. Learning to love yourself, let go of the toxic, and you will be a better, feel better. So,
I
and again,
love
you
that.
thank you. And you do what we always need, a little bit of fitness, and it doesn't have to be a long, long time,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing
oh,
those
you're
beautiful,
welcome.
wise words. And thank you for being on the podcast as well. It was
Yeah.
such a blessing and an honor to interview you
Aw, thanks.
and just to chat with you. So we don't always, we're all so busy,
I
right? We don't get
know.
to
I
chat
know.
too much. So yeah, it was amazing. And maybe we'll impact somebody out there who's listening to this. And those of you who are listening, thank you for tuning into the Pura Vida podcast. Again, I'm your host, Erica Peters, and I'm here at Pura Vida Wellness Studio in Toledo, Ohio. We offer wellness classes and yoga classes, meditation classes, stretch classes, etc., and it's all just $30 a month. We're very passionate about making wellness affordable and accessible to everybody. So I hope to see your face here at the studio or even online once we get those online offerings out. And thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.